Hi, my name is David Reagan and I work for Grech RV. We're going to do a walk around of a Turismo-ion. This is to get you familiarized with your new Turismo. So let's start on the inside and I'll show you some controls in the interior and how things function and where things are at. The first things you will find on your Turismo on the end of the Galley cabinet is your Firefly touchscreen. The Firefly touchscreen controls all your 12-volt lighting, power shades, and various items as far as your conversion of your ottomans and the rear couch into a bed. Also, you have lighting controls, electrical settings. On this electrical settings page, you can control your inverter on and off. You'll need your inverter on whenever you need 110 volt power for your cooktop, all your outlets, your air conditioner, and your microwave. Air conditioning controls. This is where you control your air conditioner. The air conditioner will only work on shore power or on inverter. You can control the cabin temperature up and down on these buttons right here. Turn it on and off with the cool button. Low and high speed is manual. If you leave it in automatic mode, it automatically can control your fan speeds low and high. If you want to turn the unit on, push the cool button. If you want to turn it off, push the cool button again and it will turn it off. The fan will only turn off when it is in auto mode and the cool button is not selected. Front vent fan controls. So this is the fan controls for your front vent fan, excuse me. And you can open and close the vent fan. It does have a rain sensor on it as well, so if it starts to rain, it automatically will close the lid. Then you have your shade controls right here. You can manually control your shades up and down, or you can hit the shade master and they'll automatically go up and down. You can stop the shades in any position by pushing the button and pushing it again. It'll stop it in that location. Also, you have a control for your power screen right here. It does the same function. Push the button, it'll control it, and push it again, it'll stop it. This is your settings page. The settings page, you can control the cleaning mode, auto dim, and the setting of your clock, Fahrenheit in Celsius or Fahrenheit, and also your mobile app. This is where you access your mobile app. You can download the QR code for your mobile app. This is your Mira ID and also your Mira PIN. You will need to know those information for getting that app to work on your unit. Back to the home page. The home page, this is where you control your ottomans and your sofa. Also your lighting master. You have a lighting master on and off, so it'll turn all the interior lights on or off, just a touch of a button. Your awning controls are here, extend and retract. Remember that the awning will not be able to extend when the vehicle is running. You'll have a ignition lockout icon notification down here at the bottom. This is your tank sensors here. It tells you the level of your tanks, your water pump. You'll need to use the water pump whenever you're using onboard water. It is not necessary to use the water pump when you are hooked up to city water. And then your tank heaters. These are heater blankets that are mounted on the exterior tanks below the vehicle. In case you're in low temperatures, turn the tank heater button on and they will control themselves automatically with the thermostat. It's mounted on the heater blanket itself. Your house battery voltage is located here. And then this is your main battery cutoff switch. So when you turn the switch off, it shuts down all the 12-volt controls on the interior of the vehicle. This is not the battery storage switch. I will show you where that location is here shortly in the video, but there is a different location for battery storage switch to turn the switches off for the specific batteries themselves when you're on long-term storage. This is short-term storage switch, so when you want to just shut the unit down and you're away from it, and you don't want the batteries to be running down, say for a couple of days, you can turn the switch off. But if you're going to be storing the vehicle for longer periods of time, I will show you where those switches are and later in this video, so keep an eye out for that. This is a step override switch, so when your step is deployed, when the doors open, you can turn this switch off in the off position, and that will keep the step deployed at all times, no matter if you're opening and closing the door. But if you start the ignition and the switch is off and you close the door, that step is going to be working again. It will actually come back in and go back out only when the vehicle is running. If you have the switch in the off position and the vehicle is not running, the step is not going to work. So make sure that you have that switch in the on position if the vehicle is not running and you want the step to come out. But if you want the step to stay out when you're camping, for example, open the door, let the step come out, turn the switch off, and then the step will stay out for as long as you're camping. Once you turn the switch back on, the step will work again. Next thing is we'll go over the Galley cabinet right here, and all the accessories that are inside in this Galley cabinet. There's a cover for the sink that you can use as a backsplash in this location. So just install it here in this location. It'll just stay there so you can cook, and it'll help keep some of the splash from when you're cooking from getting on the interior. You can clean this interior fabric. Just a real mild soap and water, you can clean that off if you don't choose to use the backsplash. Nice stainless steel farm style sink, stainless pull out sprayer in the faucet in this area right here. Induction cooktop. Ion units are equipped with an induction cooktop. So the induction cooktop, you must use induction cooktop compatible pans. If you don't use an induction type pan on here, it's not going to work properly. I will have another video also in regards to how to program this induction cooktop. So watch for that video if you need more instructions on the cooktop. Every unit that we produce has a convection microwave air fryer in it. So that is a microwave, a convection oven, and an air fryer as well. Simple to use. If you have any questions on how to use that and operate the unit, please refer to the original owner's manual on it. On Ion units, this unit will work off of the inverter, and it works off when you're plugged into shore power. So you have those options on Ion unit. If it's not an Ion unit and it is a unit that has a generator, this unit will only work when the generator is running or when you are plugged into shore power. In the back of the unit here, underneath this ottoman, like I was explaining earlier, is where your battery control switches are to turn the batteries on and off on a lithium-ion unit. So underneath this ottoman, you pull this open, this panel, and then on the panel in here, there is a 2 switches on this particular model. Your model might have 4 switches, but they do the same function. Those 2 switches with the blue lights around them are the battery storage switches. So to turn the batteries off on these units, push and hold those switches in until the light goes out around the switch for the battery. And when the light goes out, that puts the battery into storage mode. Once you want to turn the batteries back on, go ahead and push and release the switch again, and it'll turn the batteries back on. If the light ring is on solid, that means that the batteries are operating. If the light ring is flashing at that point, that means that the batteries are charging, okay? So don't be alarmed that the switches and the light around the switch is flashing. That just means that the batteries are charging. That doesn't mean that there's a fault in the battery, okay? In that location also is the secondary panel for your tank monitor system, and the main brain is located in this area for the Firefly system. There's not really any reason to get to the main brain for the Firefly system unless there's an issue. Also, the Mirror app module is located in this position. No real thing to do with that. It's just in that location, okay? Opposite of this ottoman on the driver's side is another access control compartment, and in this compartment is the motorized battery switch. This motorized battery switch is operated by the rocker switch below the touchscreen on the end of the Galley cabinet, like I was explaining earlier in the video. It is not necessary to manually turn this switch. This switch is motorized, and if you turn the switch manually, you will unsync it from the switch below the touchscreen on the end of the Galley cabinet, and it will not work properly. If you have that problem, please contact us and we will explain to you how to reset that switch. Above that is a 12-volt fuse panel. This fuse panel controls a few things. Just if there's a red light on this control panel or this fuse panel, that means that there's a failure on a fuse, and that means that you need to address what the issue might be. But if there's a red light on this fuse panel, that depicts that there's a blown fuse, okay? Inside this compartment also is your circuit breaker panel and 12-volt fuse panel. This is the circuit breakers for all the 110-volt circuitry that's in the vehicle. And if you have one that's popped, go ahead and reset it. And if you have an issue with something that's not working properly, go ahead and try this breaker first and make sure that the breaker is actually on. On the right side of that is where your 12-volt fuses are. So there's a nice clean label that's labeling all the 12-volt fuses in these locations and what the fuse size is and what it's actually for. Do not ever replace a fuse larger than what it needs to be. Say, for example, this one says 10 amp for the fan. Make sure that if you have an issue, do not ever put a bigger fuse in these locations. It could be a fire hazard, so they're clearly marked right there. Just be cautious on if you have to replace anything there, you replace it with the same size fuse, okay? So that's in those locations. Above the ottoman on this side is where the refrigerator is. Refrigerator freezer. This is a refrigerator freezer that works off of 12 volts. So whenever there is power on in the unit and you have battery power on with the rocker switch below the touchscreen and the Firefly system is all actually up and operating, you can tell that you have the 12-volt systems on. This refrigerator should be working. If there's an issue, please contact warranty, but that would be very frequent, okay? Above the refrigerator is another access to a cabinet storage you can store in here. And this cabinet is where you have your DVD player. The DVD player is going to be playing on the TV in the back here. You also have your antenna controls up here for your TV antenna. There's a button on this control. If the button is pushed in and it's lit up green, that means you're working off the TV antenna on the roof. If the button is out and it is not lit up green, that means that you're working on the antenna connection for shore antenna in, and I'll show you where that's at. It's on the shore compartment on the exterior of the vehicle. I'll point that out a little later in the video. And up in this compartment is where your solar controller is, and this is the controller that charges your batteries, your house batteries on the unit through the solar. So really nothing to do there. It's already programmed from us, but just be aware that's where it's at, okay? In this compartment as well, we pre-wire all of our units for a satellite. There's a satellite cable hooked up in here, drop out, that you can hook up to your satellite receiver if you need to be. That's solely what it's for. You do not have to try to hook that cable up to the other connector that's on the antenna block up here next to the power switch. There's nothing that needs to be hooked up there. So I have customers asking me about that as well. There's no connection that's missing there, so just disregard that. It's fine. The only thing you need to be concerned about on that TV antenna connection is the power button, which changes the source of where the TV signal's coming from, okay? Your Dometic air conditioner here in the roof, it's a 13,500 BTU Dometic AC unit. It works off of 110 volts only. On IN units, you can use that unit when the inverter's on or when you're plugged in. So either way, this will work. On generator units, this air conditioner unit will only work whenever the generator's running or when you are plugged into shore power. It will not work off of the inverter on generator units, so keep that in mind, okay? Back in the back compartment, we're going to give a different view, so we'll show you the back compartment here from the back, and I'll show you how the controls work for the Timberline and where the TV and the sound bar is. So okay, so here's the back end of the cabinet right behind where the refrigerator's at. This is where the Timberline heater system control panel is located. The Timberline heater control panel has multiple functions on it. The first function that I want to tell you about is if you don't have a heat source selected on this panel, nothing is going to work on it. So you will have no hot water in the system, and your furnace for the cabin temperature, the heat in the cabin is not going to work. So you have two selections of heat sources on this panel. The first one is the bottom left-hand corner. This is the fuel-fired burner. This is the one that burns diesel fuel with a fuel-fired burner on the exterior of the vehicle. Make sure you have at least 3/8 to a half of a tank of diesel fuel. If you have less than that, there is a slight chance of possibility, especially if you're at a quarter tank or less, that this fuel fire burner is not going to operate because it will not pull the diesel fuel out of the tank. We don't want to leave you stranded because you ran your heater and not have enough diesel fuel to get to your destination or to a fueling station. So just be aware of that you have to have at least, our recommendation is 3/8 to a half of a tank of diesel fuel for this to work properly, okay? So select your heat source. If you are plugged into shore power, you have an electrical element heater on the top, bottom right hand corner here. When you're plugged into shore power is the only time that this heater element is going to work. If you're not plugged into shore power, like I'm going to push it right now, it will still light up, but it's not going to give you any heat in the system because it takes power from the shore cord to heat the element. This is only turning on a relay in the system and starting the system, but it's not going to create any heat unless you're plugged into shore power. The only way to get heat out of the system when you're not plugged into shore power is through the fuel fired burner right here. And that's, like I said, the one that burns diesel fuel. So if you have the fuel fire burner icon on, it will take up to 3 to 5 minutes for the system to start and start creating heat in the system. So be aware that there is some time delay. It's not an instant heater. It takes a little bit for the system to start up and start creating heat. The top left-hand corner is a water icon. Use this whenever you want better water heater performance. Say, for example, you want to take a shower, so you want to turn that hot water icon on. When you turn it on, it'll start for 30 minutes. It'll stay in that mode for 30 minutes, and then after 30 minutes, it'll revert back to the normal mode, which is you'll still get hot water out of the system, but you won't get as much performance out of the system for hot water without this icon being on, okay? So keep that in mind. Cabin temperature shows you what the reading of the cabin temperature is at this point. It's 63. It's bouncing between 63 and 64 right now. But if you want to turn your cabin heater on, there's two ways to do it. You have a minus sign and a plus sign right here, and they're pretty small. You can push the plus sign and it'll change it at small increments, or you can take your finger and just dial it around to the number that you want to go to. So right now I just went to 72 degrees. So now it will start the heater on the interior side of the unit. It'll start the fans. It'll start blowing air out of the fans for the cabin heat. But still keep in mind, I just turned the system on and it's going to take 3 to 5 minutes for it to start generating enough heat to really make a difference on any part of the system. Okay, so just be mindful of that. Just make sure that if you need the heater system working, turn it on, wait at least 5 minutes, and then things will start working properly. If you ever have any questions on how the system works, there is a subsequent video that's out also on our website that shows you exactly how this heater system works, the different functions of it, and how to set your different things on there. So look at that video as well. There's actually one from Timberline, and there's actually one that I did as well on this specific system. Okay, so any more information, please refer to that video, and you can always call us on that as well. So that's the basics of how the Timberline system works. And then you have a Vizio TV here on the back with a sound bar below that. This Vizio TV works off of 110 volts, and so you have to have your inverter on for this TV and this soundbar to work, or you have to be plugged into shore power for this soundbar and this TV to work. So it does not work off of 12 volts. It does work off 12 volts through the inverter, but you have to have the inverter on for that system, for the TV and for the soundbar to work. Okay, so that being said, also your 110 volt outlets in this vehicle, there's multiple outlets throughout the vehicle. Keep in mind those outlets only work whenever the inverter's on or when you're plugged into 110 volt for your shore power. So there's an outlet on each side of the vehicle. There's an outlet on the end of the galley cabinet, and there's one actually above the cooktop in this particular unit in the overhead cabinet as well. You have a secondary, let's sneak by you here. You have a secondary Firefly touchscreen, which is identical to the one that's on the galley cabinet on the front side. So this does the same exact functions of the touchscreen that's on the front side of the galley cabinet there. You have a download QR code sticker here next to it. And then also on lithium units, we recommend, highly recommend, I should say, to download the Lithionics battery monitor app. So I'll say that again, Lithionics battery monitor app. So if you download the Lithionics battery monitor app, there's actually a QR code here that we put on for the direct you to the Lithionics website there. There's a lot of information on that website. The Lithionics battery monitor app you can find there as well, but it may be easier for you to just go direct to Lithionics battery monitor app in the App Store. If you have an iPhone, just put in Lithionics battery monitor and it'll pull it right up. You can download it. Once you have that battery monitor app on your phone, I will quickly show you here on my phone. That is right here, Lithionics. So click on the Lithionics battery monitor app and it'll show you on this screen first. We have multiple batteries here because I'm in the shop and it's picking up all the other batteries, but these are the 2 batteries that are in this unit. So your unit, if you're by yourself, you're going to be showing like that. You're only going to be showing 2 batteries, or you can show up to 4 batteries depending on when your unit was built. It has the same amount of battery capacity if it has 2 batteries or 4 batteries. Don't be alarmed with that. It's the same amount of capacity with 2. So I'm going to click on this one right here. It'll pull it up and it'll tell me that these batteries in this specific unit are at 44%. It'll tell me what the battery voltage is. It tells me what the current draw is in red right now, and it tells me how many watts it's actually being drawn out. It tells me what the battery temperatures are. It tells me what the battery management system, monitor system that's inside, what the temperatures of that is. It tells me that the state is on the battery, and it tells me what the time remaining is on the current draw that until the battery is going to be completely to the point where it's going to shut itself off. So right now I have 1 day and 22 hours on the current draw that I have for these batteries. If the unit's plugged in, or if it's outside and it's getting charged via solar, or if the engine's running and the alternator is charging the batteries, these numbers are going to be different. It'll tell you what the current is in green instead of red, because it's going to tell you how much is charging, and it'll tell you on what the time remaining is. It'll tell you how many hours it's going to be until that battery is actually charged up to 100%. So good information there. So download Lithionics battery monitor app to monitor your lithium batteries in the unit. This app is not available on the lithium batteries on generator units, only on ion units that you need to download this app, okay? So download that. A lot of good useful information there. There is a subsequent video also on this battery monitor, so you can actually see more information on how to rename your batteries. Instead of just being a number here, you can actually name your battery. So watch that video as well. Lithionics battery monitor app video. It's on the same website, so all of our other videos if you're watching this one. All right, so next is the bathroom. Let's go ahead and go to the bathroom right here, and I'll show you the features of our bathroom. So here in the bathroom, we have a ceramic toilet here. So this is a water flush ceramic toilet. It has a 13-gallon black holding tank below the toilet here, which is mounted above the floor, so there is no tank heater on the black tank, okay? There's only a heater on the gray tank and on the gray tank and the fresh water holding tank underneath the vehicle. And make sure that you use RV toilet paper only on these systems. So that goes for all of our units. We recommend RV toilet paper, on all the holding tanks, because it dissolves and it'll damage the macerators if you actually have a macerator on your unit. This Turismo is not equipped with a macerator, but still RV toilet paper only. All right. And in the shower, you have a couple other features. So you have a nice faucet here, which is a stainless faucet, so you can use that as a shower as well. So to do that, you actually just pull the faucet out. It's on a hose, and you click it up here for the holder, or you can hold it manually and do a shower that way. But this is nice, a hands-free shower. And then once you're all done, you can just put it back into the faucet. So hot and cold functions just like normal at your house. Your drain just like normal at your house. Nothing really to be concerned with there. A nice toilet paper holder down there. That is a waterproof toilet paper holder as well. So once you have it closed up in that position, you can take a shower and it's not going to get your toilet paper all wet, okay? Also, we supply right here is a pull-out clothes hanger. So pull this out and you pull it out all the way over to the other side of the bathroom. There's a clip up there, so you can clip it up in there. Once you clip it up in and the string is across there for your holder, you have to tighten this up so it does not continue to pull the string out. So you tighten it up for it to lock it, and you untighten it for it to retract it once you pull this out of the other side, so it'll retract in. So if you have it too tight, it'll be like that. If you loosen this nut up, then it'll retract in. So very simple use, but nice to be able to hang clothes here for drying or towels or whatever you want to do there, okay? A vent fan up on the top. There's a vent fan. There's a switch for the fan. You can turn the switch on. It'll turn the fan on. You got to have the fan handle pushed up in there to be able to release and all the air out of there. And so there's a fan switch there. There's a light switch here on the side, so you can push this light switch on and the light will come on. And if you leave it on, it's going to stay on whenever the 12-volt systems are on. If you want the light back off, just push the switch and it'll turn back off. These lights on the interior side are controlled by the Firefly system. These lights are through the Firefly system, and they're called bathroom lights. You can turn them on and off. You can actually dim these lights from the Firefly control system as well. A lot of our interior lights are dimmable on the Firefly system. The dimmable lights are very easily recognized on the Firefly system, since they have a arrow up and down on there, so you can control the lights that way. There's also a mirror. There's a couple of mirrors in here. There's one actually on the door behind me here, and there's one on the interior side of the bathroom, which is mounted on a clip, and it folds out. So you just grab a hold of it, unclip it, and it's a little nice, it's got a 3x mirror or a standard mirror here, and you can use that as a mirror, obviously. And then when you're done, you can push it back and clip it back into spot, okay? Okay, so that's the back end of the vehicle. I want to show you, we supply a lagoon table also. There's a lagoon table top that's mounted behind the driver's seat. It's in a storage compartment, or a storage rack there. You can pull that out of there. The lagoon table arm actually is back here in this rear compartment. Here's a couple of pillows we give you. This I will explain to you as well. This is your front window and door shades for the front of the vehicle. I'll show you how those work. It's just a regular standard window shade that you put up in the front window, and then the side ones, you must open the door on the side and magnetically magnet those shades in on the door frame and then close the door. That's how those work. I'll show you how those work as well. Back here is where your lagoon table arm is stored in this back cabinet. It's got some nice clips in here. It just clips it into position, and so that's way it's not flying around into the cabinet and all that stuff. So you can remove that. And then this has a lock arm on it. Go ahead and loosen up the lock arm. There's two different table mounts in this vehicle. There's one back here at the ottoman, and there's one at the front of the galley cabinet. So you have two different positions for that lagoon table to mount. This back one actually has a magnetic switch mounted on the arm, and it has the receiver part of the magnet down on the ottoman. What that does is that disables the ottoman from working when this arm is in position. That way you don't damage the arm bracket or the arm when this is in position, okay? So keep that in mind. You have to remove this out of the bracket down there and remove the arm for that ottoman on the passenger side to work. So if you try to operate it from the controls and it's not working, make sure this is out of there, okay? Because it's not going to work if this is in there. Very simple to do. Just insert it into the bracket, secure the arm, take your table, put the table arm here with the table on there, and you can swivel it around and put it in a position where you need to have it, okay? So that's pretty easy there. I'll put this back here. All these cabinet doors are spring loaded as well. So these cabinet doors have springs to hold them open or help hold them closed. And then these handles here are just spring loaded as well, so you can lock them in or unlock them, and so you have a handle or not. The drawers in the actual galley cabinet are the same way. It has the same similar type of handle, so you just push it and release the button, then you can pull it out. This one actually, on the drawers on the galley cabinets, since we don't want drawers moving back and forth while driving, they actually have a mechanical lock built in. So when you push this button in, it mechanically locks this tab and it will not allow it to open the drawer. So make sure that you don't try to just pull the drawer open with the button in, because it'll be locked. Make sure you release the button. That'll release the lock and allow you to open the drawer, okay? There is like I said, this lock has a position where it comes in here. You do have to push it in to get it to lock, and then be able to push this in to lock the drawer. So it has to be in that position. It does have an easy close drawer slide on here, a soft close drawer slide to a certain point, but it will not push it in all the way. Because of that mechanical lock back there, you have to push it in all the way for it to lock, okay? So just keep that in mind. On the end of this galley cabinet, and all of our galley cabinets in proximity to the sink, this is actually a pull-out storage right here, and it has a little tray in here that you can put your cleaning sponges or towels or whatever into this little position. It's actually pretty nice. So a nice little spot for things like that. So keep that in mind too. You can hear that actually lock in on this one pretty nicely. So that locks in right there. So keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and go outside, and I'll show you actually how these window shades go onto the doors, and the window on the front, I'll show you that as well in that position, and then we can go from there. We also supply a nice heavy duty windshield insulator and blackout, also for the driver, passenger, and front door. Make sure that the darker color is on the interior side of the vehicle, the lighter color is on the exterior side of the vehicle. Simply insert the front windshield panel and lower the sun visors to hold it in place. Once you install the interior window cover, magnets will hold it onto the door frame when the door is open. When you close the door, it will hold the interior cover in place. Okay, so now we're on the outside of the Turismo, and I'm going to show you some exterior features of this vehicle as well. So the first thing, we're on the driver's side, and the lower compartment on the driver's side on the skirting is where you're going to access your black water holding tank valve and your gray water holding tank valve and your cap for your 3-inch dump line. And your 3-inch dump line is mounted in this storage location right here. So we conveniently have an area right here for your dump hose to store, so you're not going to see any other exterior compartment doors. It's all conveniently located right in here. So pull your dump hose out, take your cap off, and hook your dump hose up. The other side of the dump hose is going to go into your sewer. Make sure you're using a certified sewer dump. You cannot dump it into like just regular drains or the side of the street or anything like that. Make sure you don't do that. So do that. Pull your drain for your black tank first. Drain your black tank. Always drain your black tank first, okay? And then once the black tank is done draining, then you can open up your gray tank valve. Once your gray tank valve is drained all the way, and then go ahead and close the valves back up. You can take your hose off. If you have access to a sprayer water hose, then you can spray out your dump hose and then insert your dump hose back in this location. Put your cap back on right here, and then that's how you do a very simple dump on a Turismo. There's no macerator on this unit, so it's just a standard 3-inch dump on this unit. The next thing we have right here is your compartment for all your exterior shore stuff, for like your shore cord right here goes in this location. So you have a 30 amp, 120 volt shore power inlet right here. This is a safety cover, seal cover right here. If it's difficult to open, then what you can do is, this is a very quick, easy trick to open this cover. Squeeze it on both sides right here very gently, and the cover will just pop open, and it comes up very easily, because there is a lock on the bottom of here that gets caught. So if it's caught and locked in like that, and you try to get your finger into there, it's kind of difficult. Like I said, grab each side of it, squeeze it gently, it'll pop loose, and it'll come right open. So that's the trick. And then when you hook your short cord in, push in your short cord and twist it. Let me show you how to do that real quick. I have one right here. So grab your short cord, 30 amp, 120 volt. Remember, 30 amp, okay, 120 volt. You plug in your short cord right here and you twist it clockwise about a little bit until it stops, and then you're locked in and the cord won't come back out. There is a safety ring right here that you can spin on and lock it as well. And that's just a double redundancy as far as the lock goes. It will not allow you to pull it out at that point. So that's how you plug in your short cord. Make sure that the other side of the short cord is plugged into 30 amp. If you do not have 30 amp service, you can plug it into a 20 amp service with an adapter, but you need to change some settings on the interior on the Firefly system. Look at that video as well. I have a secondary video for doing that, selecting your shore power sources on units. So watch for that video. We talked about earlier that you have a inlet right here for your cable TV inlet on the exterior of the vehicle. Remember, this inlet only works whenever you switch the power off to the TV amplifier up in the cabinet. If the light is green and the button is pushed into the controller for the antenna, you're not going to have any signal coming from here. Make sure that switch is in the off position and the light is out. Then it selects this inlet right here for your TV source. Outside shower, hot and cold. You do have an outside shower hose that we supply that has a quick release right here. You can snap it into there, and then you have a sprayer on a coil hose, cold and hot water just like normal. Turn your water valves on and then run it through with the sprayer. You can take a shower outside here. Make sure that if you're doing winterization on the unit, do not forget to do your hot and cold on the outside shower valves right here. If you forget to do this, these will freeze in the winter time if you do not run RV antifreeze through them, and you will have to replace this whenever you come springtime. It will be leaking because it will be broken. So make sure that you don't forget to do this on your winterization if you're actually doing it. City water connection right here. So you got a water hose that hooks up right here from your city water hose connection. Make sure you're using a regulator. There is a video on this hookup as well. Watch for that. It is available. Make sure you're running a regulator on your source. So if you're hooking your water hose up to your hose bib, make sure you put your regulator on first and then your hose and then connect it to the unit. Do not put your regulator here. It doesn't go here. It goes on the inlet from the hose bib to your hose, not to the inlet to the vehicle, okay? That way you're protecting your hose and you're protecting the vehicle all at the same time with the regulator on there. When you're running city water, you do not have to run your water pump. The water pump is only being used whenever you're using the fresh water from your holding tank on your unit. So if you're running city water, you do not need to run the water pump, all right? So let's go ahead and go to the back of the unit and I'll show you some stuff back there. So in the back of the unit here, you open up your back doors, lift this flap up right here. That'll give you access to back here. Behind this compartment door, this same thing has a lock on it. Release the button, then you can open it up. Inside this compartment, you're gonna find a diagram here. Do not use this as a storage compartment. This is not a storage compartment. There is a lot of high power, a lot of high current located in this area. You have your lithium batteries that are mounted up into this area. You have your service disconnect switch in this area for your inverter. This is not a battery disconnect switch. This is a service disconnect switch for the inverter only. So if you turn this service disconnect switch off, the only thing you're going to be turning off is the battery power going to the inverter, and vice versa. If you plug your unit in to shore power, the inverter's not going to be able to charge your batteries if this switch is off. So make sure that this switch is on and all the time. There's no reason to turn it off unless we have to do servicing or a hard reset for the inverter. If you need to do a hard reset on your inverter, there is a video for that as well on how to reset your inverter. If you have inverter issues, try that reset first. Look at that video. It'll explain to you how to do a reset on your inverter. If it still has an issue, let us know. We can address that. In this location as well is your fuse for your inverter. So this is a 300 amp fuse here for your inverter. This is what supplies power to the service disconnect and then to the inverter. And then there's other various fuses on here for that. Really, there should be nothing you need to do in this location other than just that service disconnect if we need to do a reset or somebody's working on this inverter for any reason. You can hear the inverter fans right now because we just plugged the unit in. It's actually converted itself over to a battery charger, so it's actually charging the batteries on this unit as we speak right now. So then again, just a quick review, do not ever use this compartment as storage, okay? There's a lot of high current in here. We don't want to have any issues like that, so just make sure that you pay attention. This is not a storage compartment, and it's just a servicing area back here, okay? Okay, so let's come around here to the right rear corner. This is a passenger rear corner of the vehicle. There's another access panel door here. Behind this access panel door, we give you two 110 volt power outlet plugs right here. These are GFI connected to a circuit breaker on the interior of the vehicle. So if there's any water that gets into your connections or whatever and there's no power here, check that fuse, the circuit breaker in the fuse panel on the driver's side underneath that ottoman, okay? Out here also is another outlet for your TV antenna connection. So if you want to run an external TV and you want to have it set up on a table back here, you can plug your power in here, hook your antenna cable up right here, and you can use the TV there. So that's what those connections are for, okay? Right in front of the rear tire on the driver's side, passenger side, right behind the sliding door is another access panel door here. This is where your fresh water fill is. So this connection right here is the fresh water fill for your fresh water holding tank. So make sure this area is clean before you take the cap off. If you have a water hose with you, if you want to spray this off, clean it off. If it's actually dirty, you don't want to be getting that debris and that dirt into your holding tank. So wash it off, remove the cap, and then you can fill your fresh water full, and then once it's full, it'll start coming out of here, and there should be enough water in the holding tank because the holding tank's mounted underneath the vehicle, so it will actually start filling up through here when it's full. There is a vent on this system, but you will not see it. It's mounted underneath the vehicle, and they're more likely it's not going to have any water coming out of that when the freshwater tank is full. It'll be full here when you're full, okay? So, and then a word of caution also, make sure this door is closed before trying to open this slide door. The slide door will damage this door if it's left open. We put a warning note here, this door to remain closed before using side entry door. So make sure before you try to open this side door that this door is actually closed and locked and secured. If not, you will damage this door, okay? So just make sure that this thing is down and in the lock position before operating the side entry door. All right, so I certainly hope that this answers a lot of questions for you. And if you have any other questions or any follow-ups, please do not hesitate to give us a call. We are here for you and willing to help you work through any issues or questions that you might have on our units. Thank you.